And good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. It's another edition of the Broken Not Shattered, the BNS podcast. And my guest today is Molly. Molly, hi, how you doing?
I'm doing good. A bit
Great,
cold
great,
here in
great.
Canada, but I'm doing good. Thank you.
Awesome. So, Molly, you are in Canada, and we know that Canada is spelled COLD, correct?
I think you got the first letter right, and you got the C in there, so I think it
Okay.
works.
I
Yeah.
know how cold Canada is. I remember the last time I was in Toronto, it was pretty cold. What part of Canada are you in?
So I'm in Toronto, so I'm sure a lot of people do know because Drake, right?
Yes.
But yeah, I've been in Toronto all my life, to be quite
Wow.
honest. So haven't moved anywhere. But yeah, love it here.
Awesome. Talking about all your life, I know at a very young age you had an encounter that, in most cases, would just kind of take the person out, but in your case, it has turned your life around and given you a sense of purpose and direction. Our topics today is time, choices, and regrets. Let's talk about that time when that incident happened. Our audience might not know, or some of them do know, so go ahead.
So for at the age of 7, I did experience an incident. It was obviously a freak accident. I was burned about 60% of my body. Um, this actually happened while I was being babysat by my grandmother. I also have a twin sister. She was there with me, and my slightly older sister, who was about 4 years older than us. So we were all pretty much kids at the time. Um, but a very clip notes version of like what happened that day was my grandma was babysitting us, and she asked me if I was hungry for some curry chicken, from Guyanese. I didn't want that. Being a kid, I wanted a peanut butter sandwich, so I told her no. Pretty much everybody left the kitchen, and I decided to climb on the counters as kids do to get on top of the top cupboard to grab the good stuff. And there was actually a pot of boiling water on the stove. I think my grandma was going to be making something else. But unfortunately, my leg slipped on some water that was on the counter, and my elbow actually hit the pot, and I fell to the floor, and the pot fell from my head down to my feet. I was completely paralyzed in shock, and I actually do recall the whole entire incident, but I quickly removed all of my clothes. I felt a whole shock going down my body. It was such a painful experience. I can't really describe the feeling, but it just felt like all of my skin was pretty much on fire. My grandma tried to do her best at the time in the situation. She didn't know much about burns, or she didn't really see what happened. And me screaming as a kid saying that hot water fell on me, my grandma did unfortunately rub some cocoa butter on my skin right away. She didn't put me in cold water, so it did exasperate a little bit of my burns at the time. But I think because I was in shock, I didn't feel it anymore when she was putting the cocoa butter on. I remember laughing because I was that type of kid who really didn't take things seriously. And I seen my skin actually peeling off in like real time. And I remember both my sisters screaming in terror. They thought it was like really scary how I looked, but I didn't feel the pain anymore at that moment. They decided to call my mom. My mom said, call the ambulance right now. My mom was at work. And by the time the ambulance came, they said you need to put her in cold water right away. But I think by that time it was a bit too late. So the damage was already done. I was burned again, 60% of my body, ranging between first and third degree burns. I spent about 2 months and a bit in the hospital for recovery, and I had about 5 surgeries.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of experience for a young kid to go through.
Yeah.
That's very sad. But with time, you haven't allowed that scar, both physically and emotionally, deter the young lady you've turned out to be. Looking back at your life now and seeing the journey of what you've gone through, how have you turned that moment into keeping up with a brave face to overcome your challenges?
That's a good question. To be quite honest, I didn't feel like I did for many years. I think that childhood self, that person I was when I was a kid, it kind of froze in time. I'll be honest.
Wow.
It did freeze in time for a bit. Um, I feel like only up until recent years, I did discover other burn survivors. When the pandemic happened, I felt like this is something I need to deal with. I can't keep hiding who I am because, again, as a burn survivor, I might not physically look like it on camera. I have hidden my burns all of these years. So that's why I froze it. I kind of put it away, hid it away, didn't tell anybody I was burned, and I liked it that way. It was safe. So for a point in time, I did freeze that version of myself. I didn't want to deal with it or face it. But again, fast forward when I got to more of my adult years, this was about 5 years ago. I did a quick search during the pandemic for burn survivors in Toronto, and I stumbled on an Instagram group called Life After Burns. And at that point, I had joined their first meetup, and that's when my life changed. And I feel like at that point in time, I totally found acceptance in being a burn survivor, and not just acceptance. I found resilience, I found strength in it, and I found like a sort of power in it as well. So I feel like at that point, even though it was frozen in time a bit, like that fear of being a burn survivor and hiding for so long, I feel like now in the past 5 years, I've unlearned that, or I'm unpacking it still right now.
Wow.
But I have used this, like, now accepting it as a way to kind of move around in my life by finding power in it.
Wow. I like
Yes.
that. You found power out of this adversity that you've hid for so
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing is that the turning point for you was once you found a community, once
Yes.
you found people who will accept you for who you are, regardless of what has happened to you. So immediately you found that community, you found the acceptance,
Yes.
and that empowered you.
Yes.
So the key thing then for most of us is to find a place where we can feel safe enough to be ourselves to get empowered.
Yes.
Wow, awesome. So did you make any significant choices after that? In other words, did you decide to say, okay, now I found acceptance, now I found power, I'm going to conduct my life differently. I'm going to go out more. I'm going to be able to express myself more. That child that I kept away, I'm going to bring her out of the closet and say, hey, it's your time to shine.
Definitely. Again, this is like 5 years ago that I found the group. And at the beginning, I still was unlearning a lot of patterns that I've had like built up. Cause like your core memories, like being 7, like for that to happen at such a young age, it changes your whole like like
Yes.
way of
Yes.
life. Like I feel like I almost like sat in fear my whole life. And so now being an adult, it's like I'm unlearning this. I met so many survivors who had, to be quite honest, not to say that anyone's situation is worse than the other, but people who went through some very extreme tragedies, the way that they were burned, whether it was like a house fire, whether someone set them on fire, whether it was acid, like so many like stories I've heard. And then seeing how empowered they were and brave, and how they showed up regardless of how visible their scars were. I feel like at that point, I started to realize like if they can be brave and be fearless, I can too. And I feel like from that, at a point in time, I don't know exactly when between these 5 years, I decided to choose to be um, more fearless. So not being scared.
So that's the choice you made.
Yes.
You made the choice not to be more fearless.
Yes.
Wow, Molly, that's powerful. That's real power. And how has that conducted your life ever since then?
I mean, I would say, and it's hard for me to speak about myself because it's like you look at yourself and you kind of put yourself a little bit smaller. But from the people that I have, like my community that support me, whether it be my twin sister or my friends or my partner or even just other burn survivors, I actually started posting my burn scar journey where I'm trying to empower others and share that it's okay to have visible differences. I
Yeah.
started posting this on social media
Wow.
to kind of show people it's okay that even if you're scared and you can still embrace those things. And I started to feel like through that, a lot of people, whether they knew me or not, like even strangers on social media, they would reach out to me and be like, thank you so much for sharing this. I'm dealing with this thing. Whether they're a burn survivor or not, they might have had autoimmune disease, or they might have had crazy life changes recently. But they told me that it helped them, or it changed things for them. So that really made me feel good about doing that.
Wow. Thank you. On behalf of the BNS podcast, I want to say thank you to you too. We are now part of your community, and your ability to stand strong and speak up and share your story, especially on social media. It's We applaud you and thank you so much, because like I said in the beginning when you were off camera and we're talking, it's those kind of platforms that transform people's lives. Somebody else is going to see something else, like you said, see your story and believe that if you could do it, they can do it too.
Yeah.
So I just want to thank you publicly on this podcast for actually sharing your story. Where can someone find your journey? Someone else who wants to say, "Hey, I want to find out more about Marley and what she's doing." Where can they go before I ask you the other question I had in mind?
Yeah, I actually do post a lot of my content on Instagram. I also do have a TikTok. My Instagram name, although it's not Marley, but it is underscore at Neytiri. That's Neytiri. So
Okay.
search that up. They should be able to find my Instagram, and then my TikTok would be. They can probably search it up under my name actually on the screen, Marley.j, and if not, it'll be Natalina J. So they can search that up as well.
Awesome. So speaking about visible scars, someone just asked a question. Did you ever did it ever affect your self-expression?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And
It
what
does.
choices did you make to change that?
Oh,
That's a question from someone who just asked a question.
my self-expression. Honestly, I think I said this in the last interview. Um, I was like a double agent my whole life again, because it's like a lot of people don't know I'm a burn survivor.
Double agent.
It was a double agent. It's like nobody knew. And it's crazy because it's like being a burn survivor, like, I don't know if you know any burn survivors personally.
I do.
You do. Okay.
Yeah.
And as a burn survivor, you do feel a little small. Like there's not a lot of burn survivors in the world. It does feel like that way when you are a burn survivor, because it's not usual that like growing up that you and then you have a whole friend group of burn survivors as a kid. It's usually just you. Like I didn't know anybody.
Wow.
So I started to realize like I didn't want to express that side of me, like being a survivor or showing that. So and I was able to hide it. So um I definitely would say that I wasn't able to fully be myself half the time in my life. Um, I felt like I was playing a character sometimes with a lot of people. And I think that everyone knows how that feels, because it's like, you put on your corporate personality, like when you go to work or when you
Yeah.
have to show face to some friends or whatever, like people that you just don't want them to know certain things about you. But that's how it felt like all the time. It was always on, not always. Like I never felt like I could like settle and rest.
Be yourself. You
Yes,
just
it was never that. No, and even with dating with guys, when I met them, they didn't know and I didn't tell them. I just felt like maybe if they like me enough, then I will tell them. But it's like I never felt safe enough to be fully like self-expressed, to be quite honest. Only up until now that my frontal lobe developed and like I met this community of people and they made me feel safe to do so. Then obviously posting on social media now and then having such a supportive partner. I definitely feel like now I'm starting to become that person I've always wanted to be, truly. But for many years, no, I wasn't able to. It was scary. Yeah, I would say.
wow. What's your partner's name?
His name's Kevin, but I call him Kenny because he told me his name was Kenny when I first met him, and I didn't know his name was Kevin until like 3 years dating him when I saw his driver's license. So yeah.
And his last name is
His last name is Raja.
Roger. Okay.
Yeah.
There's someone that just jumped onto a message named Ken.
That's probably him.
Ken Ramos. Is that him?
Yeah, that's him. His last name is Roger or Ramos. He goes by both.
I'm bringing Ken into this. Hey Ken, since he sneaked in, he's in. Hey Ken, how you doing?
Hey, how are you? Hey, how's it going?
Oh
How's it
my
going? I was here to support Marley. I was really happy that you had reached out again. I know that I watched the other the video that you had Marley on before, and I was
Yes.
so happy. And I'm glad that you reached out to her again because I'm just happy about that.
All right, great. So now we have you on the call. I know this is
Yeah.
it's supposed to be Marley's show, but since you jumped in, we're gonna make the best out of this, right, Ken?
For sure.
Now she just mentioned to us a few minutes ago that normally when she was younger, she couldn't express herself, especially when she met people. She didn't tell people about her scars or her burns until she felt that she was comfortable enough to tell them that, right? What was your experience when you found out? Now we're putting you on stand. What was your experience when you found out about her burns?
Yeah. So I learned about it honestly from the very beginning, like just probably from the first week that we met,
Oh,
and we actually started like just talking as friends. And I've never known anyone who's had any burns, but I've had friends in the past who've had things that maybe they're not super comfortable with. Even for myself too, I have a little bit of an indent on my chest. So sometimes, when I was younger, I used to have an issue with showing off my chest or anything like that. So I also used to wear shirts. So I always told Marley, I said, hey, you know what? I'll always try to be, the support system. And then anytime that, you feel uncomfortable, just lean on me for, just for support, right? And over the years, small things like, as we go on vacation, for example, I said, hey, you know what? Take it off. If you're wearing a bikini, for example, sometimes she'll wear like a shawl over it, right? So I'm like, hey, you know what? Take it off for a little bit. See how it feels. If you feel uncomfortable, put it back on. But I promise you, no one's looking at you like, oh my gosh, like this looks disgusting or whatever. They're no everyone. If anything, people are just curious about like what exactly happened, right?
yeah.
And
What is the story behind it? Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
that's what it is, yeah. And I guess the other thing as well is I'm sure you've seen Marley's page and how she's been more consistent with her content. I always told her that, the same way she looks at other people who have maybe who are burn survivors as well. And she's like, wow, this person's so beautiful, or like wow, they have so much confidence. I'm like, someone's gonna look at your page and think the same way as you looked at someone else's page. And your confidence is gonna give them confidence, right? So I said, what, keep posting, keep just keep doing what you're doing because I promise you it's bigger than you, right? That's what I always tell her.
Awesome. And you were so right. What a supportive boyfriend. Thank you so much for doing that.
No problem.
Yes, she is if you permit me to say, she's a gorgeous young lady, and yes, and you're a lucky guy to have someone like that in your world, and you're a blessed woman to have a guy like Ken to actually speak life into you at every given situation. How has your relationship been um, with all this attention she gets? How does it, how does it work?
Yeah, honestly, I'll answer first just because I am more proud of this because, like I said, it's easier for me to be able to be like, hey, Marley, just make content, make content. Like it's bigger than you. I promise. Like people are gonna look at your page and be inspired and feel
Wow.
confident in themselves, right? And it's easier to do that and just to say that to your partner and then to see your partner actually go ahead and make the content because if everybody could make videos, everyone would. But it's harder than a lot of people know. Number one, it's the making the video part is one thing, and then it's the editing part is the other, right? And like actually going ahead and posting and finally figuring out like, okay, well, is everyone gonna like respond well to this, or is people gonna, what I mean? Like you start doubting yourself, but once she
Mhm.
started rolling out the content and really stopped worrying about what other people think, that's when her content started reaching the right people because now she's not looking at it in like the likes and the engagement. She's looking at it like I'm actually reaching the people that need to see this
That's
and
cool.
want to hear my story. So that's my
Wow.
point.
Wow.
For me, like, and I think he was more leaning towards like our relationship, like how did that affect us?
Yeah.
Um, I would say through my experience, getting this community, whether it was like in person or like online, I feel like it created like a different dynamic, created a stronger bond between us. Because I feel like being seen by him was like one, I guess, like hurdle that I had to overcome, and being safe was like nice. But like now I feel like being seen like by so many people, like, in the public, whether it's social media or not, I feel like having a partner that totally makes me feel safe while I'm being seen by so many people. Feeling this judgment, it has strengthened our relationship in a lot of ways. I feel like it's like I have the ultimate support person with me at all times. So that's
Have
how
you had have you had anybody say something that was not pleasant? What do you guys call it again? Throwing you or something? Yeah.
rolling.
Yeah. Have you had any of that?
To be quite honest, I've been so fortunate.
Wow.
That was the thing that I put in my mind, and that's why I put this off. Like, it was such a nerve-wracking thing to even think, like, if I post this, what I believed before posting was everyone was gonna say this is disgusting, like, what's wrong with her, why is she posting this? Like, I thought all of these things were gonna come
All
to
the negative stuff.
all my fears were scaring me. And once I did post it, when I started posting, it made me realize that yes, the world can be a horrible place, and there are really honestly mean people in the world who can troll and will. I've been fortunate enough that I haven't seen it. People might say it and think it, but I haven't actually experienced technically any trolling as of now. I've just had really honestly more support than anything, which I'm very grateful for. Um, but if I was to experience it, I will tell you, I'm not one to shy away from responding to a troll.
Okay.
Post that anytime someone comments anything, because we post on our couples page and people try to, you always get those trolls. I got time. So yeah.
Awesome. So looking back now, um, this adversity or what appeared to be an adversity at some point, that must have led to some level of brokenness. You've turned it now, and it's giving you a voice. Do you have any regrets on how you handled things years before you became more empowered? And if you did have any regrets, what would they be, and how can you change them?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Like, honestly, it's like I think like everyone's lives are full of regrets. And
Right.
I regret a lot, and it's hard to like even sum up in words, but I will say, because I was so fearful of like expressing myself from a young age, I feel like I turned down a lot of opportunities because I didn't think I was good enough. Like, I
Uh,
didn't think I was good enough for many things, and that played out in my life in many ways. Um, and like, you can look back in life and yes, you regret those things, but I'm trying not to feel shame in it or beat myself up over it.
of
It's more
course,
like
yes.
a learning opportunity. Like, I grew from it. Like, I know what I could have done differently, but I'm not gonna let that, be held over
Hold
my
you
head
back.
my
Yes,
whole life.
exactly.
Yeah. So it's like, and I feel like that's the thing. You never know you're gonna regret something until it's like too late in a way. Then you're
Mhm,
like, damn, why did I do that? But now it's too late. But like, you
mhm.
can't beat yourself up over something you can't change, right? So
Yeah, that's a great response, Ken. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, no, like I said, I honestly I I was just listening and I was just like just being on this platform. It was one of those things honestly when Marley's talking, I kind of just zoned out for a second. I was like very happy that she was actually speaking her truth, because sometimes when we're at home, she may not speak too much about whenever she speaks a lot. Actually, I lied, she speaks a lot when we're at home, but I mean, like, I want her to express it a lot more when she's on social media. So to see her in this light, because I know this is recorded. I know you did a great job with editing it and making that other video from before. I'm just very proud of her for being able to express how she feels, and as you mentioned, the opportunities that she had given up when she was younger, when if anything she had the same, if not the same level as someone else who maybe wasn't a burn survivor, right? To get these opportunities, right? So at the end of the day, the number one thing is for me is just to be there for her, especially when it comes down to every day, whether someone's saying something or not, but just making sure she realizes that throughout her whole life and the 10 years I've known her and the continuous years past the 10 years, is she always like, I'm the number one fan of her burns. I always tell her that. That's the one thing. And
Wow.
or at least she always laughs about that. But I am the number one fan of her burns, and I'll always tell anybody and everybody that I will tell anybody that. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say. I actually just zoned out. Sorry.
No, that's okay. You've done a good job so far, Ken. Especially after sneaking into the podcast without being invited, but
Yeah.
that's okay.
No, he's caught off guard right now. I'm not-
Yeah, exactly. That's good for him, isn't it? That's okay, man. I truly appreciate both of you. As we wind down the podcast, obviously, I told you, Malia, this is going to be just for 30 minutes and then we're good to go. I know that a lot of folks watch it, are watching it live as we speak right now. Definitely will go back home and say to themselves, wow, what is my own fear? It might not be a burn, I personally have had a couple of those fears myself. But
Yeah.
as life comes to fruition, you just realize, hey, you got to take these experiences to help other people, and that's what the podcast is all about, really.
Right.
Just giving voice to the voiceless and giving hope to the hopeless. And you have taken the burns and taking your experiences and taking your challenges and now doing that. And the universe itself is just going to align itself with you, that even the things that you missed out when you were younger, right, are going to start finding their way to come back in different forms. Before you know, people are going to be calling you up to be a keynote speaker, or just to show up and just be that person that you were definitely designed to be from the beginning of time. And so, with a great support that you have in Ken, I don't think that anything should be able to stop you. So I'm just encouraging you, applauding you publicly. On an average Sunday, we have over 1,000 people globally watching this platform. So through all our fans, wherever they are, or audience, wherever they are, we're all behind you saying, go girl, do your thing, pretty much. As you've stepped out, keep on stepping out and keep on stepping up.
I really appreciate that. Honestly, I can't even express. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So I've got that out of the way because I'm just excited and looking forward to what you're becoming. And I'll start following you on Instagram after we finish this
Thank
podcast.
you.
I know the BNS the platform follows you, but I will follow you personally on my own personal platform.
I would love that. Yeah. Thank you.
Right. Two more questions. One is from the audience. One person says, if time is listening, how do you want to remember the seasons of your life?
If time was listening,
yeah, that's what he
how would
says.
I want to remember the seasons? Honestly, I feel like the season I'm in right now, and I'm going through, I started to realize I'm not trying to just survive. I'm trying to live, So I want to remember this time as the season of I'm living, not just surviving. So yeah, because I feel like my whole life I've just been trying to survive, and I feel like it's time to really start enjoying life.
Wow. Okay, I like that. Ken, this is the time for us to say goodbye to you. Since you just jumped into the call, we're gonna let you go.
Thank you so much. Yes, sir.
All right,
nice to meet you.
No, Molly, stay there.
Take care.
Say Ken only. We haven't finished with you, Molly.
Yeah.
All right, Ken. Take care.
Take care.
Thanks for all your support. Woo, great guy.
Yeah.
I
feel like he didn't have his coffee this morning.
That's a great guy. I like that. For all the support. Okay, we're about to round the show up. Now, the two things we do as we end, you must have done it with Obi. If you didn't, this is the time for you to do it. There's something we call a drop-off question, right? Mm-hmm. And so the last guest we had, they don't know who's coming in this weekend. They don't know who our guest was going to be, but they had a drop-off question, and they just anything from their heart. They would just say, "This is my drop-off question," and they'll ask the question, and you have to answer it. But while you're answering that question, get ready, Molly, because you have to give the next person your own drop-off question.
I remember. I have one ready.
Okay, great, awesome. So our last guest says, "What scares you, and what are you doing to rise above that fear?" What scares you, and what are you doing to rise above that fear? Oh. You got this, Molly.
That's a good question. A lot scares me.
Okay, and what are you doing to rise above?
Technical things. I'm I have a big fear of heights, but that's another thing. Even skydiving and all of that. I just have a lot of fears in that aspect. but internally with myself, and I know that it's like I'm still on this journey. I feel like the thing that scares me the most is being seen. Like even though I'm posting online, and again I keep talking about this, and it's like I'm on that journey, just sharing my my story, my scars, embracing it, and just being authentically myself, not just a burn survivor, but just sharing who I am and being seen is like the scariest thing to me. And it's funny because it's like I post, but the reason why I post is because I'm trying to unlearn that, right?
Wow.
So the way I'm trying to overcome it is by sharing online. And I know there's other ways to do it, but for me right now, this is the best way I know how that's actually working for me. Like I feel like I've made a lot of progress and a lot of growth in sharing posting on social media. I feel like social media can be a big downfall for a lot of people in terms of like over consuming you, but I feel like for me personally, it has opened up so much for me. A lot of my views on myself have changed, and it's opened up a lot of opportunities, especially like even being able to speak with you. I would have never have met you or been on this podcast. So
Yeah.
I am grateful for that, and overcoming it is literally my fear of being seen is now showing up and trying to be seen, and that's the best way I can put it.
That's the perfect way to handle it. Pretty
Yeah.
much. That's a
Yeah.
great way to handle it. You are being seen now globally because our audience cut across North America. We have folks in the United Kingdom,
Oh,
parts of Africa, watch this thing on a regular basis over the last 4 years.
I
Um,
love that.
I live here in the DMV area. Obi State's actually in Nigeria, so you can imagine the strong following. And then we found out that we have a strong following in the UAE in Dubai. People who
Oh,
watch,
wow.
yeah. So this is it's global. So having you on this platform and you overcoming your fear of not being seen by being seen,
Yeah.
you're on the right platform. You're
Yeah.
on the right platform. So before I ask you your last question, I want you to take a minute because I'm going to use this for a promo. Look in the camera, Marley, and tell us when you hear the word broken, not shattered, what comes to your mind?
When I hear the words broken, not shattered, the word that comes to my mind is just resilience. Feeling resilience, and being resilient is not something that I feel like you learn. I just feel like it's something that you just decide and you choose to do. And I feel like it's just by going through any experience, you know, at any point in life. I feel like we all experience resilience at some point,
Mhm.
whether it's by choice, like I said. I feel like broken, not shattered means being resilient.
Well, wow. Mm. It's amazing you use that word. This is the third time that in the last 48 hours that someone has said to me something about resilience and this platform.
Hmm.
So for
It
you
definitely is. Yeah.
So for you to use that same word, resilience, it's a blessing. And the book I'm reading right now, believe it or not,
Oh, wow.
that's my read for the month.
I love that.
The healing power of resilience, and it's been a blessing. So for you to mention those words, it's I'm gonna dig deep into that word resilience, and I hope my audience, guys, wherever you are, that's the word Mali resilience. And Mali, your drop off question will be.
Oh, I guess it's the theme of this podcast. If you can go back in time, if there was any regret that you had and you could change it, what would it be?
Wow. If you had any regret whatsoever, what would it be?
What would
Okay,
you do
guys.
today? Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. We're wrapping up the show in our favorite three words: love, peace, and more grace. Molly, thank you for having you, and we hope we're going to bring you back again very soon. Maybe we should bring both you and Ken back, just the
Oh,
both of
after
you.
he had his coffee, yeah.
Okay, after he's had his coffee, thanks again, and have a great time.
All right.
Take
Thank you,
care.
guys. It
All
was
right.
so nice
Yes.
to meet you.
You
All
too.
right. Take care.